As a homeowner, I'm always working on something. As a builder, I get to see what works and what doesn't. This is really a science that they've used and fine-tuned to make sure that everybody gets the most accurate output.
You can also put in how efficient the system is, and what kind of system.
Many houses have comfort issues, whether it's a hot room, drafty areas, or utility bills that are out of control. The best way to get to the bottom of the problem is an energy audit, because it's not always what you think it is, and it's almost never the whole story. Well, the energy audit process is a great tool to help any homeowner out there, or business owner for that matter, figure out where their building, where their home is at in the way of energy efficiency, find out where things are leaking, find out where they could have some improvements. So it really gives you the tools to figure out where you stand. So what's the main reason that you take the measurements of the outside of the house?
This is going to go into the blower door computer program, which will read to us how many cubic feet per minute of air leakage comes into the house. So we'll take measurement, square footage, we'll also take ceiling heights, figure out volume, and then we'll figure a surface area for the walls and the actual envelope of the building. So if we're on a crawl space, we'll need to use that as part of the surface area. If it's on a slab, we don't use that. I think the biggest benefit of having an energy audit before you start improvements is you know where to really begin. Are there any rooms that you think you can feel a draft in? What areas to attack that are going to make the biggest improvements? Around 15% of your heat and cooling load will go out your walls. The rest of it's through the ceiling. What areas are going to pay off the fastest with savings? What areas are going to give you the greatest comfort?
I just kind of noticed you looking around, you're looking at the ventilation in the attic.
That's correct, yeah. I see he's got soffit vents. That'll be something when we get up in the attic, we'll want to make sure that there's a baffling or something up there that those aren't blocked.
Make sure that they're open so the airflow is proper. As I look out there towards the edge, I see that they're not plugged up at this part of the house, but that's something you'll be inspecting as you go through it, is that correct?
We will inspect it. He has about around an R25 up here right now, so we are going to recommend that he add some. If he does add insulation, he will need to install a baffle that will run from those soffits up top. As you can see, when it gets over to the edge, they kind of let it go down. There may be only 4 or 5 inches around those edges.
Right, that's exactly what I see. Matter of fact, there on that edge, that's right on sheetrock, so he has like literally 1/4 of an inch of insulation right there.
Yep. We'll also look at the thermal boundary, so we're checking insulation levels. All right, I'm gonna dig down and see how many inches homeowner has of insulation. He's got blown in cellulose, and typically it's made from recycled paper products. Looks like there's about 7 inches. The energy audit takes about 2 to 3 hours, and we show up when we take survey information on everything in the house that consumes energy. And we are on slab, that's correct.
It is correct.
Do you have a whole house fan?
Yes, I do.
And we also check for air leakage. And we do that with a blower door, which depressurizes the house, and that allows us to go around and find where the air is getting sucked in. And you'll see it's got different rings that will go on. And I always start with the open. I imagine I'm gonna have to add ring A. The reason for that is the fan needs to be moving at a certain speed for it to be able to accurately measure. If there's not a lot of air moving through, it needs a smaller ring so it can be moving fast enough and give it a consistent reading.
Well, I like how they actually use true equipment to really get a very accurate reading on where you're losing air.
So it'll take a natural pressure reading one more time, and then we'll see what the results are. It also shows you which spots you may need to air seal and which spots maybe you don't need to waste time with. Sometimes people will go around to every single outlet and switch in the house when maybe only a couple of them were actually leaking in air. That one's a little worse. But these, for the most part, aren't terrible.
It's pulling right out of there. Anybody could come in and say you're not very energy efficient. So when they set up the door blower, this is really a science that they've used and fine tune to make sure that everybody gets the most accurate output, reading wise.
This house is pretty tight. You start getting much lower than that, and you will start smelling mold or musty smells. You will start seeing more condensation. You even start seeing mold around windows and things like that.
So even if a home is super airtight, that's actually not a good thing.
That's right. That's right. You want to see around 35% of the air cycle over every hour, and I've seen anywhere from 10% up to 210%.
This season of Building for Better Living brought to you in part by Nancy Allison, Shelter Insurance. We're your shield, we're your shelter. Carpet One, beautiful, made affordable.
Carpet One Floor and Home are good friends of mine because they treat their customers right. I know that firsthand. But I bet there are some things you don't know about Carpet One, even though they've been in business since 1968. Not only do they carry the great carpet lines like Tigressa, Relaxit, Lee's, and Karastan. They have a huge tile showroom and hardwood collection. They also carry Hunter Douglas window treatments and now offer the Healthier Living installation system. I'm Paul Pepper, and Carpet One Floor and Home is a friend of mine.
At Shelter Insurance, we're people who know that the first love of your life
I need you to take the screws off.
might have been made of steel.
Thank you.
Shelter Insurance. For your auto, home, and life, we're your shield. We're your shelter.
Ask Agent Nancy Allison about Shelter's auto insurance discounts.
Closed captioning brought to you by
on Lamone Industrial Boulevard.
Justin just finished up sealing a return register in the master bedroom, and now he's working on a bathroom exhaust fan in the master bath. These are examples of interior air leaks of your home. So keep in mind that not all of your air leakage is going to occur on the exterior wall of your home. Examples like return registers, bath fans, electrical outlets, plumbing stacks behind bath cabinetry, and other exposed areas are great ways to reduce the air changes in your house. They may seem small, but when you add them up, they're going to give you quite a bit better comfort level in your house and a lot more savings at the end of the day.
For more information, visit our website at goenergylink.com.
Wow, Scott, based on the energy audit you all did, this customer, depending on what they pick, really should start saving some money monthly.
Expect to get your report back and a presentation in about a week. And at that point, we'll go through and show you everything that we found in the house. Recommended as an R50, so you're about half of what you need in the attic. And if you remember, it kind of tapered toward the edges when I took you up there and showed you that.
So things they found with this home were basic air leakage and outside penetration, such as a line going through the outside wall.
Around some of the doors, there was some leakage where they could have used some weather stripping. And I think that kind of plays to where the comfort level was in the house. We found the most air leaks in the most uncomfortable part of the house. You know, we saw some areas too where maybe there wasn't necessarily a problem, but there could be improvements. This run right here is going above some of these 2x4s, and so it didn't get insulated when they blew over. I'm looking at some of these other parts down through the rest of the attic, and they got blown over, which is great to get insulated, but this one got missed. So we will recommend to wrap this in fiberglass batting. You did have about 70 feet of uninsulated ductwork that was running right through the middle of the attic. So our recommendation is to actually drape over fiberglass batting insulation over the top of that, and then when we blow in, it'll fill up to the sides, and that way the top's covered and the sides are covered good as well. Filter was clean. You told us you replaced it about a month before we came, so that was good. This was the hot water heater. It looked good, about 5 to 10 years old. It still has probably about 5 years life left in it.
Okay.
So it's about maybe 2/3 through its life range. We did have some recommendations to insulate the exposed pipe, just right in the room where the pipe comes out of it. We insulate that, add a timer to it, and we can do that on electric. It's something you can't do on a gas. And about 63 inches around.
Then the biggest thing was the hot water heater. They saw that they could wrap that, put a timer on it. That was probably, in this particular homeowner's case, the biggest difference.
If you do these things, you should see a 20.5% savings on your hot water heater usage.
Okay.
And then also with the heating and cooling, you should see about a 13.5% saving.
This season of Building for Better Living brought to you in part by Mark Hall Cabinetry, where everything you imagine materializes. Steve's Pest Control. Now you have a friend in the pest control business. Slumberland Furniture. The way you live, the way you save.
Meet Slumberland's Dream Team.
We're a group of highly skilled,
insomnia-fighting,
snooze-loving,
totally experienced, wickedly smart mattress people.
Who don't sleep well if you don't sleep well.
There's no question we can't answer, no sleep product we don't know like the back of our hand.
No one we can't put in the right bed.
At the right price.
You need a new bed?
You come here if you want to work with the experts.
Slumberland's Dream Team.
We put the good in good night.
Imagine style so eloquent that functionality is secondary. Imagine expert guidance and a process that's all about you. Imagine exceptional quality at a price you can feel good about. Imagine immense satisfaction. Mark Hall Cabinetry, where everything you imagine materializes.
A termite eating through the wall of my home. An infestation of ants crawling on my kitchen counter. A brown recluse spider about to bite my son. Roaches crawling in my cabinets.
If you've got a bug problem, don't call a psychiatrist. Just call me at Steve's Pest Control.
Now you got a friend in the pest control business. Steve's Pest Control.
Closed captioning brought to you by
on Lamone Industrial Boulevard.
The insulation is something you could do, but it's usually something you probably rather have somebody come in that knows what they're looking for. There's a lot of things you need to look for before you blow on the insulation. Some of that stuff is venting. You need to make sure you're not going to block up any vents that are allowing circulation up in the attic. You make sure there's not any safety issues, any flues or anything like that. Those are just a few of the things that we'll look for before we blow on the insulation. We've broken down the recommended improvements into two sections. We also show you bid work to show you what it would cost to have these improvements made. If you did all that work, this would be the total cost.
Of course, everybody would like to do everything all at once, but in certain cases it has to be more realistic that all you can do is what you can do now based on your budget. So why don't you talk to me a little bit about it, Scott, and what this customer chose to do to their home.
Sure. He chose for us to insulate his ductwork. He had about 70 feet up there that was completely uninsulated. So we're wrapping it with this fiberglass batting here, which is made from recycled glass. And they're covering the ductwork up there, and it was only about half exposed. So we're covering the top of it with it and then blowing around on the edges with the blown-in insulation.
So in a normal case, they might cut it about here to lay it over this way, over the ductwork, and then blow the insulation up to it. Gotcha, okay. And I like the fact that it's made out of recycled glass. I mean, it's eco-friendly, it's giving back a little bit here.
Right, and the rest of the insulation that they're blowing in the attic is also made from recycled newspaper. So that's made here in Columbia, and it's 80% recycled newspaper. And they're blowing that over the rest of it. We like to use cellulose insulation over fiberglass because it provides an air barrier where fiberglass just allows air to move right through it. It also has a higher R value per inch. You'll find there's some contractors that aren't familiar with cellulose, and they will say that it doesn't work very well because it settles. It's very simple. You add more so that you reach your level that you want after it settles. You factor in that settling.
So when you're putting this together, you're doing all the measurements and you're calculating what should be in this attic, you're accounting for that settling.
Absolutely. We account for 25% settlage. I think a lot of manufacturers only say 15%. We found that it does settle a little more than that. And I think that's where it got the bad rap to begin with.
One thing that I learned that I thought was very interesting to me is most homeowners feel like they need to change their windows out. As soon as they start thinking about energy efficiency, they want to go right for the windows, and I think that's what most people do, especially in an older home.
Windows are rarely going to pay for themselves in a reasonable amount of time. We really tell people it's more of a cosmetic change. If you're wanting to have them changed out anyway, it's great to do it because you can get a rebate for them.
So in this particular case, it was awesome to see that really windows weren't even the issue. It was insulation in the attic. So it really opened my eyes to what you can really do very cost effectively.
There's always a lot of areas to attack first that are going to make a big difference. You know, the low-hanging fruit is what we say, and that's generally insulation and air sealing.
I know there was a talk about windows here. Did this homeowner end up going with new windows in this particular case?
I don't believe he did. The other area that we addressed was his water heater.
Water heater, so not doing the windows, and that's what this is all about. Getting that audit done so you can explore different options right now, pick and choose what you want to do, and start the saving way. So hot water heater, what are they going to do with the hot water heater here?
We're wrapping it with an insulation wrap and also putting on some pipe insulation and a timer. The timer's just there so it'll kick off when he's not home. It doesn't need to be constantly reheating that water if he's not around. We're hoping he saves somewhere between 10 and 20% from adding those three things.
So they're going to wrap it with some insulation, get that all sealed up, put the timer on there, and that'll keep that heat from coming out and turning on when he's not at home.
Exactly.
What you're looking at here is basically a calculator that takes your home and compares it as it was before you started the program and looks at how your house is now with all of your upgrades.
If you have some of those improvements made, we come back out and do a post-test. And at the post-test, we do another blower door, see the difference in the air leakage from start to finish, and a city inspector will be there with the local utility company, and he inspects the work, makes sure everything was installed properly and to the proper levels. We're here for the post-test to get the final reading for the blower door. I'm here with Brandon from the city utility company. Tell us exactly what you do.
I'm the liaison between the contractors and the homeowners. I take care of rebates and do all the energy efficiency inspections for the city. When I arrive at home, first I meet with the contractor, and then I meet with the homeowner, and we discuss what's going to happen. Explain that the contractor is going to do a post-blower door test. Basically, he's consolidating that hole so we can get an accurate measurement for how much air is being moved through that space.
Okay.
I'm going to enter all the information from work that was completed into my computer.
Ready for the numbers? We had 0.22 on the natural ACH and 6.96 on the at 50. The house started out actually fairly tight. Not quite as tight as you want it, but it was pretty close. 33% fresh air is coming in because 33% of the old air is leaving. So what we've done actually is we've reduced that down to 22%. So from 33% down to 22% is a significant reduction, which means that you have less fresh air to reheat in the wintertime, less air to recool in the summertime, which means that your HVAC equipment is actually operating more efficiently now because it doesn't have to work as hard to try to reheat or recool all of that air. And some of the areas that we tried to stress to air seal was on this west side of the house that was always hotter in the summertime and colder in the wintertime. Those areas where you've got comfort issues are the #1 places you want to air seal in a house that's already fairly tight. Once we did the post test, you're right there where you want to be in tightness, even a little tighter than what's recommended.
I would not recommend going much further and doing a whole lot of air sealing because there is at some point a concern for indoor air quality. We want to make sure we keep an eye on mold or mildew. Is there a smell in the home? Things you want to keep a lookout for. If you notice something like that, you definitely want to make sure you open a window, turn on your attic or your bathroom fans, and bring some fresh air into the home. Okay. Yeah. So you can't make a home too tight, but at this point, I would say your home is probably at an optimal range for what you're looking for.
How'd everything look?
Looks great. Insulation looks good. Ductwork's all covered.
Great.
Should make the house a lot more comfortable.
All right.
I'm going to inspect all the work that was done. After the blower door is finished, I'm going to finalize the rebate form. At that point, we'll be able to give the homeowner an accurate estimate of what type of savings they should see as far as heating and cooling. Looking at your upgraded attic insulation, your upgraded ductwork insulation, and your pre and post blower door test.
I was really happy to see that the homeowner did a great job on air sealing. Sometimes I get a little nervous about, you know, were they able to make improvements very well? Did they do it correctly?
You said you did some air sealing, and actually after our post blower door test, your home tested out almost 4.5% tighter, which at a house that was as tight as yours was, to get even a little bit of air sealing out of it is a big improvement for you.
And the last area was the insulation. It had about half of what it needed.
The big project here was attic insulation. As well, the ductwork for this home is run through the attic, so they also insulated the ductwork in the attic. Before the project started, there was about an R26. There was approximately 7 inches of insulation, so they basically doubled that, added another 7 inches of insulation, going to a total of R50, which is the recommended R value for this climate zone.
The last big thing that allows is you to get rebates back. So a lot of these, the state tax deduction, the city, local utility rebate, and the gas company rebate, those are all rebates that you have to have an audit done before you can get those rebates. So a lot of times we'll see people start some of these projects where they're putting in windows, and we come do the audit. Well, they can't get a rebate on that window now because they've already had it installed before the audit. So it's a good first step to make to get that audit done.
But for all the work you've had done here, we estimate that you should see an annual savings on your heating and cooling cost of 17.5%. That's an outstanding savings from just doing attic insulation, ductwork insulation, and a little bit of air sealing. That's a great number. And for that, Water and Light is actually going to give you a rebate of $474.
Boy, that's great. That is great.
Yep.
Being here helps us to focus on what really matters.
It's one place we can all agree on.
Our experience here on Sunday touches our lives all week long.
Forum Christian Church, connecting, growing, living.
We finally found our house, and we really love it. But when we moved in, everything dripped and dripped and dripped. I asked the neighbor for a referral, and he said, call Mr. Reuter Plumbing. So I did. Oh, they were courteous, professional, nice and neat, did a great job. I can see why people refer Mr. Reuter. Now it's my turn. Call Mr. Reuter.
Wouldn't it be great if everything were free? You really can have free solar energy. With today's utility rebates and federal tax credits, solar energy can provide immediate cost savings on your utility bill and free electricity, often in just a few years. So why you have to keep paying for everything else? Find out how you can get free energy from the sun today. Missouri Solar Applications, a shining solution.
Closed captioning brought to you by
on Lamone Industrial Boulevard.
Mount just a little small sub panel or something to give them space, or put a tandem in there. That's the only two things that we could do if we tandem that out.
Okay.
To make sure that it's going to be correct.
The biggest thing that we do is we're start to finish. We install everything. You don't have to call a whole different list of contractors and schedule those guys to get out there at a different time. If there's ever any issues, you call up us and we take care of everything, versus having to decide which contractor maybe didn't get something in or something didn't get right to your satisfaction. We're going to take care of all of it. We take care of all your rebates, all your tax incentives. We fill all that paperwork out for you.
This is really a science that they've used and fine tune to make sure that everybody gets the most accurate output, reading wise, and then tell you what to do and make those changes, and then tell you what you're going to save in the end. So to me, it's pretty awesome to see that.
Energy efficiency is the best possible thing that somebody can do for their home. Everyone says that they're looking for ways to cut back or ways to save money or make a solid investment. Energy efficiency is something that everyone can do on their own, and they can do it relatively inexpensively, and they can see savings for years to come. Well, the way this works, Scott will submit to me all the results from his test today.
Okay.
And I'll combine his paperwork with mine, submit it for final approval, and you will receive a check in the mail in 6 to 8 weeks.
One of the incentives that this homeowner didn't qualify for was the Ameren gas rebate, because he's not a gas customer. That's one that we normally work with, and that pays 50% of cost, up to $250 on things like insulation, gas hot water heater wraps. So he didn't qualify for that one because he wasn't a gas customer, but he still qualified for the City of Columbia's rebate, local utility company here, and that's up to $1,200. I think he ended up getting around $500, almost $500 out of that. There's also a state tax deduction, which is up to a $1,000 deduction, and on the reported income, and then there's a federal tax credit for 10% of qualifying products.
Homeowners commonly refer after the fact that we'll come back later and we'll ask them, is the home different? Is it more comfortable? They notice more even temperatures throughout the home. Those cold spots are eliminated. Maybe your bedroom was cold before. A lot of times that is reduced greatly from adding attic insulation. Their utility bills will come down. Their heating costs in the winter will be less. Their cooling costs in the summer will be less. And general comfort is a really big thing, as well as that energy savings.
Well, the biggest thing for me is I'd like to communicate to homeowners that you really need to get an energy audit done. Business owners could benefit from this as well, really to see where you stand in the way of energy efficiency. Whether you make a change now or not, it'll actually give you a starting point of what you need to change to make improvements as you go on, and really get you to start saving hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, come on up here, Cole.
Yeah, let's take a look at how this comes together. Yeah. Man, this is quite a structure. This is pretty awesome. But what happens when you have cloud cover? Does this solar power work?
So DC power's got to be converted to something you can use in your home, which is alternating current power, AC power.